Hey, MLS Listing subscribers and anyone else really who's tuned in. Thanks for tuning in. This is a new podcast show we've got where we're really going to focus on realtor issues, news out there, things that affect realtors in the communities they serve. Really critical for them to understand what's going on out there. What better way is we're going to start off this show and the next few shows with having the GADs, the Government Affairs Directors, for those of you who may not be aware of that. Come on today. And so let me introduce our guest today, Victor Gomez, who's the GAD, again, the Government Affairs Director for the Santa Cruz County Association of Realtors. Victor, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Dave. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Thanks so much for coming on. You guys do a really critical, thing for our realtors out there. And I think maybe not all the age for realtors really understand, who a GAD or what you guys do. So really appreciate you coming on. Before I start into that kind of the whole GAD and what you guys, responsible for and advocate for, maybe a little bit about your background, and how you kind of got into this.
Yeah, absolutely. So oddly enough, I born and raised on the central coast of California. Oddly enough, I pursued my degree in aeronautical science, graduated with a degree in aeronautical science 3 months before 9/11 hit. It was really tough to find a job when the airline industry plummeted. Got into small business, actually ended up opening multiple franchises in pizza franchises on the central coast of California. And then when I was 28 years old, I was frustrated with local government and said, well, what the heck? I'm going to run for city council. My dad was the mayor. My brother was the mayor of Glendale. My other grandfather was a mayor as well. And so figured, you know what, this is in the blood, got to do it. Ran for city council in 2008, was elected, served 8 years on the council, and really dove into politics head first. In 2010 and 12, really started doing a lot of campaign work. And then I actually ended up working as chief of staff to the vice mayor and another council member in San Jose, and really dug my heels into local government. And as government affairs directors, GADs, as you will hear, we really focus our efforts around local policies. A lot of folks spend their time focused on national issues and statewide issues. We do that as well, but mainly our focus is the rebel rousing that's happening at the local level with our mayor, city council members, and board of supervisors. So that's really what drove me to get involved with real estate related advocacy. And as government affairs directors, obviously, we play a critical role, I think, in advancing policies that really help realtors do their work.
Nice. It's definitely in your blood, your family's blood. I was doing a little research on you. I was like, wow, I was very impressed with it. And it's nice that you've got that business background as well. You kind of really do understand the importance, if I've kind of what the local businesses' thoughts on it, and obviously realtors. And, so as we go into kind of what a GAD is and what you guys do, because you guys really, like you mentioned, local, but you guys are local, state, federal, and you really do kind of out there promoting homeowner rights, right, for the industry.
Absolutely.
Either advocating or opposing, initiatives out there. That's going to really affect realtors and not only their business, but the communities they serve, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, realtors are, and many folks don't know, you're an independent contractor that happens to be working for a broker. And, these realtors out there that are, providing that American dream for California residents, and here specifically in Santa Cruz County, they're small businesses. They're just out there trying to make their money and run their business. I come from a small business background, so I get it. I know where they're coming from. But really, the work that they do is critical. They don't have necessarily the bandwidth to be focused on these local issues, whether it's another parcel tax, whether it happens to be rent control, or, a lot of these issues that are really at the forefront at the local level. Realtors don't have, nor should they be, in the middle of these fights on a day-to-day basis. That's why they hire us as lobbyists, right? They hire us internally to influence local politicians and try to have a positive impact. In other words, really make their jobs a little bit easier, because a realtor's job is complicated. It's a lot harder than people realize, the work that they do and the disclosures they have to provide to their buyers or sellers. We want to make that flow as easy as possible, because we believe if the realtor's happy, then their clients are happy, right? They're getting into their home, in many cases their first home, and we want to make sure that that climate, that action that they're taking by purchasing their home is done as easy as possible.
And so you guys really work not only as a kind of a liaison for realtors, but also educating, right? Is that part of what the GADs do? Also educate realtors on what these initiatives are and how they could impact them?
Oh, absolutely. I don't know how many, just 5 minutes before we started here, I get an email from a realtor in Santa Cruz County asking about an article that she read in the Santa Cruz Sentinel saying this and that. And she's like, "Hey, Victor, can you explain this to me?" Well, I don't know how many emails I get a week that ask me for my thoughts and opinion and how that could potentially impact their work. And really, again, that's our job, right? Our job is to educate the realtors, make sure they're aware of the laws that are being proposed, the laws that are being passed, and really how that impacts their transaction, again, in buying and selling real estate.
Right. And, in real estate doesn't happen in a vacuum. And we are coming up on an election year. So whether you like politics or not, at the very least, you need, realtors need to understand what's out there. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Regulation is critical, and it's not going to stop, especially here in California, where you have half of the state, being renters and the other half being homeowners. You're constantly going to have that sort of battle between housing providers and house or homeowners, right? And so, it's going to continue. It's always going to change. And that's, again, as government affairs directors, is making sure that our realtors understand those impacts of those new laws.
Right, right. So maybe do you guys have any, just on the top of your head, maybe some topics, kind of an example that you guys have been fighting maybe the last year or so? I know each county obviously, oftentimes may deal with some different rent control for housing, whatever or some initiative out there. What have you guys been kind of tackling in the last, year or so?
Yeah, I would say over the past couple of years, and I'll use a very recent example as well, is we've had to deal with the fires here in California. And as many have heard and are aware of, the county of Santa Cruz homeowners lost nearly 1,000 homes in the CZU fire 3 years ago. And surprisingly enough, only about 30 of those homes have actually been rebuilt or actually have permits to get rebuilt, right? So advocacy around those issues is critical because these homeowners that lost their homes, it's already tough enough for them to go through a loss like that. I happen to live in a fire zone. I'm always watching out for clearing, my property and making sure that, we are safe where we live. But a lot of these homeowners have not had the opportunity to rebuild their home or even go through the process of getting their permits, their building permits to rebuild because of the labyrinth that exists in every county in California to be able to get those permits renewed and to rebuild that home. In addition to that, I would say at the most recent level has been what we call a lamp. And in many cases, California residents are going to be like, well, what's a lamp other than, something to provide light in your room? The local area management plan is very critical to everybody in California because it dictates, especially those that live in rural areas and you don't have access to a municipal or a public treatment facility for your waste, you have a septic system. And those septic rules have changed substantially over these past couple of years. Santa Cruz County specifically, it happened about a year ago. And so how is that going to impact you as a homeowner? Well, guess what? If something happens to your septic system, there are new standards that now apply to you. Guess what? That means more money out of your pocket, right? To make those changes that you need to make. So septic systems and these issues, really, that has become a big issue around these fire victims as well. Is now you had an older septic system, because the laws, building codes have changed and the lamp has been updated, that cost to rebuild your home has skyrocketed, right? And again, very unfortunate that we're seeing that in Santa Cruz County and many other counties in California.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I think a lot of times, not only realtors but homeowners, until it's in your face, it really affects you. A lot of times, and you're not maybe a big into politics, that maybe it kind of just goes by the wayside. But it really is so important that that realtors. And that's kind of why we wanted to do these kind of shows, is is to educate realtors, let them know, that you're out there, fighting the good fight for them, and advocating for them, but also to educate them, like, hey, these, what topics they should be paying attention to, right, before it gets to that level. And like I said, we're coming up in election year, so.
Yeah, and we do a lot of the boring work too, Dave. We do a lot of boring work, which is every Friday. I happen to be government affairs director in Santa Cruz County. I also happen to represent Marin County as well. And Marin County happens to have a number of small incorporated towns, each having their own city council meetings, each having the county having their board of supervisors meeting. In Santa Cruz County, I have 4 cities, and then the county. So guess what? Every Friday, I have the pleasure of reviewing every single agenda to make sure that local government isn't trying to push something that could have a negative impact on real estate in Santa Cruz County, Marin County, any other county. That's, as government affairs directors, we do that boring work. We also do the boring work of sitting through a 6-hour city council meeting, waiting for the item that you care about the most to come and testify and try to influence that decision, right? So we do a lot of that work. So you could focus on selling or buying a home for your client, or focus on making sure that that experience for them is as least burdensome as possible.
Right. So, coming into next year, what would you say, Victor, is either maybe right now the hot topic, or you're concerning, that's got your attention, or maybe something that you've got on the horizon that's going to come up next year?
Yeah, a number of issues, but I would say the most critical issue is going to be rent control. Rent control does not seem to go away. And, back in 2019, we worked really closely with the governor and the state legislature in limiting the impact of what was called, or is currently called, the Tenant Protection Act, right? And that provided a 10% cap, right? 5% increase. You could increase rents in California for units that this applies to. And so, it put a 5% cap, it put up to 5% cap on CPI, the Consumer Price Index, and limited the amount you could raise in rent. Well, since then, we have this thing called the pandemic, and that had a huge impact on rents statewide and housing, because a lot of folks flew out and moved into the suburbs and rural areas of California. So the impact of housing has sort of spread out everywhere in California. So rent control has qualified for the ballot actually in 2024 statewide again. It failed in 2018, it failed in 2020, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that it fails in 2024. But where the fights are going to occur, Dave, are going to be at the local level. So the local politicians are feeling the urge to have to do something. And a lot of it has to do with the influence of the far left in the Democratic Party, which they call themselves the Democratic Socialists of America. And they are organized, and they are influencing local politicians to push rent caps in these small cities and counties. And they are having an impact. I'm fighting it right now, today, everywhere in California. And so that's going to continue to be the big issue at the local level, at the county level, and at the state level. We're going to continue to see these ramifications of these rent control ballot measures, again, at the local level and at the state level.
Sure. I remember 2018. I remember, because a lot of times it seems like obviously certain counties maybe have some overlap, right? We're all kind of in the same game. California, we're, housing wise, we've got extremely low inventory. So do you guys sometimes get together different GADs from different counties to kind of form, or do you guys take any initiatives from like CAR and NAR, or how does that kind of work?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the best way to get it done, right? I mean, I'm happen to be in Santa Cruz County, so I'm constantly in contact with Monterey County, San Benito, Santa Clara, San Mateo. What are you guys working on? I'm constantly texting and calling them. Hey guys, Adam, what are you working on over here? Gina, what are you working on over there? Right. Hey, have you guys faced this issue? And did you find success in defeating this issue? So yeah, we do communicate quite a bit, but more importantly, on a quarterly basis, we get together in Sacramento or in LA, or, somewhere that, it fluctuates back and forth every quarter. But we have our California Association of Real Estate meetings, specifically for GADs. It's the GAD subcommittee. And we take that opportunity, again, every 3 months to talk about issues that are impacting other government affairs directors throughout the state and learning from each other, right? And because we don't want to recreate the wheel. We'd love to take some of those folks that worked for you and put them to work for us locally. So we do get together. We even do it at the national level. I was in DC in the beginning of May, advocating for issues, like flood insurance issues and insurance. Homeowner insurance obviously is a critical issue in California. We've heard recently that some home insurance providers are not going to be expanding services or providing new policies. So that's become a big issue. And our friends at the National Association of Realtors, which we work with closely, continue to be strong advocates and provide information to us so we can deliver that to realtors at the local level.
It's really important work. And, if the realtors out there listening and maybe not too involved or just starting to say, hey, I need to maybe keep an eye on this more, how can a realtor kind of get involved more, help you guys out as you advocate on these issues for them?
Well, you know what? One first really, really good step is on an annual basis, your local association that you belong to puts together a legislative action day. So Ledge Day, as we call, is usually the last week of April or the first week of May, prior to the governor's budget message coming out and prior to some critical bills navigating through the legislature, because at that time, it's usually in the House of Origin, whatever bill we happen to be supporting or fighting. And so we get together. It's a huge crowd, 4, 5, 6,000 people. And in many cases, we actually have the governor or the speaker, here in this case, Robert Rivas, come in and share their thoughts with us at the Sacramento Convention Center. It's a good way to get your feet wet and really realize the impact that government affairs directors are having, that association staff is having, that CAR is having at the statewide level, and for you to learn as a realtor what we're doing, and maybe you'll get the itch, right? Maybe you'll get that feeling of, hey, you know what? When we have what we call a CTA, a call to action, and we tell you via email, hey, reach your local senator or your local assembly member and let them know where you stand on this bill. That's a huge motivator. If we engage one realtor in a conversation like that, excellent. We're super excited about it. It's just another voice to help, curtail some of these issues that are negatively impacting or supporting bills that are very advantageous for us as realtors. So we really, really want realtors to be engaged. We want them to participate in Lobby Day. We want you to show up to a city council meeting and advocate. I don't want to be the only face at the Santa Cruz City Council. I don't want to be the only face at the Board of Soups. I'm an advocate. I'm a lobbyist. I'm getting paid to do what I'm doing. But you as realtors, you understand the day-to-day issues on how this a specific issue is going to impact you. And we'd love to see you at your local city council meeting.
Well said. And, I think I read on your site, if real estate is your profession, politics is your business. I thought that nailed it pretty well.
Oh, yeah. No, unfortunately, we're impacted so much by these local, state, and federal decisions that you got to get involved, right? If you're a realtor and you're not very political, it's going to be tough for you to succeed as a realtor. You almost have to be, involved. You don't have to be in the trenches necessarily, but certainly be up to date on what's happening. And one other thing I will share, Dave, is, generally an association will have a monthly, what's called a local government relations committee or a local policy committee. You get together every month, and these, 25 to 40 realtors get together, usually led by their government affairs director, and we talk about local issues. Another great way to get involved with your local association.
Fantastic. Victor, I got to tell you, I really appreciate you coming on here. I know, there's going to be a lot of topics, a lot of news out there as we go into this election year. So, I know NAR's got some things coming down. So I'd love to get all, we're going to do a few, each county. We're going to take a look at each county and some issues and talk to their specific government affairs director. I'd love to get you all guys in a room at the end.
Yes.
And that's the plan. So, promise me you won't forget about us and have a little time for us down the road here.
Oh, no, I'm grateful that you folks are launching this. I'm grateful to be a part of it. Yeah, I'm sure you could get a few of us, together in one of these podcasts and share our experiences, because, I'll share with you what I'm going through in Santa Cruz County, whether it's rent control or penalties for leaving your house vacant half the year. I mean, there's constantly things going on, but then there's Central Valley real estate associations that are dealing with different issues than we are on the coast, right? Or in Northern California or in LA. So it's always good to get that perspective from your government affairs directors throughout the state.
Yeah, well, you're doing a fantastic job, as well as all the GADs out there working in our counties. I want to thank you once again, Victor, for coming on, and you're always welcome. Let us know anytime you want to come on and talk some politics, talk some issues. Really appreciate it.
I'll always talk. So let me know when you folks want me back, and happy to chat. Thank you for the opportunity.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. Take care. And for all you listening, stay tuned for future podcasts as we launch this new channel again, focusing on realtor issues and realtor news in the communities you serve. Thanks again.